Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Making Video Your Business. This week, his facial hair precedes him like his reputation does. Ben Moser from Peterman's, an estate agent by day, a loving father by night, a sportsman 24/7, unfortunately a West Ham fan as well, but maybe we'll get onto that. But too. Hi mate, how are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Hey,
very excited.
I think first met you over video, maybe a video call.
Yeah.
And obviously we've met in person, but yeah, video, that's not going away anytime soon, is it?
No, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, you could single out multiple platforms that it's been amazing for their business, but even for ours, it's been such a huge game changer.
You've delved into you're aware of video, you watch video, but you've delved into it a bit more deeply more recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a great experience, actually. So it was part of a wider kind of brand awareness exercise for us. We'd done the whole office up, and we'd made a big thank you. We'd made a change with the business to merge two of our offices together to make more of a hub for the business in Herne Hill. So yeah, we then did the big branding exercise. We had everyone interviewed, video tours around the areas that we work in and everything, and it went really well. It was been really well received. It looked, I mean, you guys did it and did a fantastic job.
I wasn't going to mention that, but it did look good. Yeah,
they did it. It was really good. No, it was a fantastic experience. We all really enjoyed it. You know, the questions to the staff and everything to make it really personal. We all enjoyed hearing everybody's stories. Like it was a really fun experience, and it's been really helpful for the business.
And that was a conscious decision that you and the other directors made. And was it something that, I mean, because there's probably a lot of people watching this thinking, we always joke. I mean, we've been making video in this business for the last 7 years. I was making it before Chris and I, sort of joined forces, but it was a harder sell back then, but how was it received by your team, by the staff? Because quite often than not, we'll get people, I don't want to be on video. And don't get me wrong, video is super powerful, but also estate agents don't apply for an estate agency job and go expect to be doing video. But is it now expected as an employer yourself? Is that part of your recruitment process now?
That's a good question, actually. It's definitely a point that gets raised further down the line. I think the power that social media and video marketing has can work both ways. People's personalities can differ so much. Some people aren't always comfortable being in front of a camera, but if you can circumvent their concerns by letting them know the impact that it can have, that definitely helps. In terms of recruitment, we make people aware that we're quite active on social media, the importance of video marketing.
Sure.
So yeah, we do tell people, make them aware. The team received it well, though. There was one member of our team who really didn't want to, and that's absolutely fine. We'd never make anybody do it.
Yeah, we're the same here at our business. There's certain people that don't want to be on camera or even photographed, and it's it's fine. The internet's not for everyone. It's a relatively new thing in a weird way, but other people will be watching this thinking, well, how do I start that video journey? Was it a cup of coffee and a chat with the other directors, or was it someone that did you think, actually maybe we should look at this? Was it one of your staff that were like, why don't we do TikToks or whatever?
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, we've always in whichever stages video's been there, we've always been keen to be involved in it because of the makeup of the agency. Of
course,
it's a family run, it's an independent, and so we have to make sure that the action points that we have as a differential are as good as they can be. So through the years, we've dabbled in it a little bit, but I think with this series that we did, the thing that was really important for us was making sure that everyone gets a real feel of what the business is about. So that involved making sure that every member of staff that was comfortable doing it was, and it turned out to be almost all of them.
Yeah.
And I think when you put it into those words, when we sat down and talked about where the business was going to go, and it's a big part of it is driving the fact that we are, an ethical, we support our communities.
Yes.
That's a big part of our offering as an agency. And the best way for people to see that is how it comes across when you see what people are like from behind a phone.
I think so, yeah. I mean, because, listen, agents, I think, letting and estate provide some of the best customer service. I know estate agents, letting agents are always on that Ipsos poll list where you're near the bottomless listers and stuff.
We know where we are.
Yeah, but we know a lot. The majority of the agents Chris and I know are amazing. And that's not just blowing smoke. That's actually you're really good at delivering that service, at adding value, at the marketing, at the the customer service style. Yeah, it's one of those where, like you say, if you let people meet the team and they like, I guess it's know, like, and trust. Like when someone
Absolutely.
comes into the shop, if you've got Jane or John sat at the front desk and they genuinely meet people, like if you already know what that person looks like when you walk into the shop, for me, that's super powerful because you're not in a strange situation where you're like, oh God, who do I talk to? Like,
It can
who's,
be a bit overwhelming,
yeah,
I
yeah.
suppose, when people make that first step because it's so personal.
Mm,
That it's probably the biggest personal commodity transaction you're ever going to make,
I think
being a
so.
homeowner.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, having the video, and photo content as your first point of call,
Mm.
I think that's really important. It's so easy for people to search for that now. The big drive on your websites, everything is meet the team. So if that's engaging, if it's allowing people to kind of get a sense of who it is that they're dealing with
Yeah.
before they've even dealt with you, then absolutely you're going to be onto a winner.
I think so. And like you
Definitely.
mentioned about the ethical nature of the business, and shout out to Jerry Lyons because he runs the Ethical Agent Network. I don't know whether is
I
that.
did. I spoke with him last week.
Oh,
funnily
did you?
enough.
Right, yeah.
He's
So,
a great guy.
do you find then that customers gravitate towards you, whether they, get back in touch with you after you've transacted with them maybe 6 years ago, 10 years ago, and new customers? Do you think that's a selling point for you that you trade on, that we are ethical and you get people coming to you for, part of
The
that
trust,
the reason?
the trust element is one I think that a lot of agents say,
Yes.
but actioning that's very different. And yeah, referrals and repeat business is it's the kind of gold dust
Yeah,
in
it is, yeah.
agency. 100% it is. We've always tried to push the trust element of our staff, of our business model. We don't, but some of the branches don't have time periods in their contracts. Some do for the areas so for example, one of the branches does,
Right.
but that's just because that's indicative of what they do. But
Sure,
in Herne Hill,
sure.
in Herne Hill, we don't.
Yeah,
It's just a
because
point of difference, isn't it?
I
But it's
think
also
so,
proving
yeah.
that we believe the service is worth it, and you trust that we're going to provide that for you. Obviously, in Edgware, where they do have that, that's because that's the model that works up there. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's fine. It's suitable to what your community vibe is, and for us, we've been in the area since 1962.
I look at people like your business, for example, and others that have been going they've had a 10th anniversary or a 20th anniversary. Like, wow, like, because it's hard. Like, it can be hard. It's very enjoyable, but yeah, it can be a bit of I can't switch off because I'm thinking about business all the time. But
Especially in a family business, because it was my grandfather that started it with his
course, yeah,
brother.
yeah.
And yeah, it does. It plays on your mind a lot. Of course it does. Both back end and front, because we treat all the staff as our family
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
which can be interesting, as all families are, but you
Indeed.
wouldn't change it. But it does mean it is hard to switch off,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can't. But that's what it is when you are part of a leadership team
I
in a
think so,
business.
yeah.
Of course, you're always going to have the business at the front of
And
your
going
mind.
back to, because it's important to me to have that break between work and personal life, or
Yeah.
let's say private life, but your own time. How do you personally sort of switch off from work? I know you're pretty much always thinking about it, but say on a Saturday morning, because you've just had I say just.
Well, he's going to be 3.
It's going to be 3.
Yeah,
Baby
jeez.
Ezra, say baby, but toddler.
He's toddler Ezra, yeah. Nearly 3-nager Ezra, yeah. Switching off, I run a lot.
Yes.
I'm very fortunate that I've given, well, I say fortunate, I've made the time to run.
And that's something that you weekly, your wife's aware of, and your baby.
Yeah.
And do you do it just before you go home? Is it a set scheduled time where you
I do
go?
it at my lunch.
Oh,
So
do you?
lunch,
Right,
so
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So my training runs during the week are during the allotted lunch break time,
Great
because
idea,
I live
yeah.
quat close to the office.
Brilliant,
So
yeah.
that helps. And then on a weekend, yeah, it's a longer run on a Sunday. And
Is it something that you have that separation, and that's important to be a dad sometimes and be a husband whilst maybe thinking about work in the background? But
yeah,
yeah,
it is.
that's
It's important, I think, to allot yourself the time as parents, as partners. We're trying very hard at the moment to get my wife to have her time, but mums have it hard.
Yes, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm very lucky that, yes, that's my time. I've done the marathon. I did the I've done a few half marathons. I'm doing the
You're
great.
pretty quick and good, aren't you? Like,
I am for where I am. There are people who are much faster than me. There
Yeah.
are people who are much slower, but I'm in a competitive level, I would
Yeah.
say, and I want to go faster.
Yeah, of course,
So
yeah.
shout out to my coach Tom, who's plant run. He's amazing.
Is he good? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
he's the best.
Yeah. And do you run with him?
No, so he's based up in North London.
Okay, right, yeah.
We'd have a monthly chat over Zoom. He does everything in terms of the diet side as well as run planning and stuff.
What does your
he's
wife
amazing.
think to that? Because she
loves it. Well, I met him because of her.
Right, okay, right.
As he was in her department during COVID, I wouldn't be where I am without that support. Both with the time to do it and
big up Jazz.
Oh yeah, Jazz is great.
And would you say that helps? Because we were talking about mental health off camera before,
Yeah, sure.
and maybe that's another episode because I know you've got stuff to say, and
Yeah.
I'm just constantly meeting people where the conversation's ever evolving. But would you say your running helps you with thinking time for the business? Does it give you that free up mind space to not necessarily think just about business, but does it clear your mind and give you a better platform to work from, maybe?
Yeah, definitely it does. Absolutely. I think and I try to say it to the team as well, to take the hour, even to just go for a walk, or it does. It really helps. I mean, I'm always thinking for whatever the next race is for me in that side. Yeah. So it does. It gives you the headspace to reassess, readjust, and then move forward with whatever you need to then focus on afterwards.
Yeah, because I mean, I often refer to, especially during the lockdown, like you just mentioned there, that people got involved in their own echo chamber where, I was speaking to Chris most days on the telephone and stuff, but it's often you have these ideas or thoughts, and it's a case of like, and I love having a business partner, like obviously you're part of a leadership team as well, just to bounce ideas off. And
it's amazing.
Like, I've had this idea. Does it sound as silly as I thought it did at home last night on the sofa? Or and you get that sort of that space to think. But during COVID, I found that was very much taken away from you unless you would, like say, chatting to people on the phone. But how is that important in your business, like the culture that you operate or that you come from top down, I guess?
Oh, it's really important. And again, when you talked about recruitment, that's a big part of how we portray ourselves. We care a lot about our team as much, just like we care about our clients. We've got quite a flexible structure with timing. We do believe very much in people filling the time they've got to make sure. But, we've got people with 2 sets of staff members with 3 kids, and it's just like, you're never going to be able to get to everything unless you've got that flexibility.
Yeah.
We as a family business, so the 3 of us, which is Wendy, my mum, Howard, who's her cousin, and myself, the meetings we have together, it's all flexible timing for that. And then for the rest of the team, it's the same. We have a couple of meetings a week with the team. The one-to-ones every month just to check in. But people are aware that they've got flexibility if they need it, if they need to leave early to go pick up kids from nursery, or they've got to be taken to the doctors. It's like, we live in a time when people are very involved in their families, as they should be, and we as employers trust them that it's the right thing to do, to give them the time to be themselves, to be the best version of themselves at work as well as when they're not there.
You're going to get that back in droves, aren't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've probably years ago out of uni, like been in proper corporate jobs, like worked for Lloyd's TSB for years, and if you are a minute late, someone's gonna have a word about that. But equally, I think it causes stress for people that are, they might not concentrate when they're driving to work because they're a little bit late, and God forbid, but they might have an accident, or like you say, there's few and far between. You get your chance to drop children off at school or pick them up, and
you only get time to be parents for the time you get. And certainly when your kids start to spend more time with
their
friends, so you want to give yourself, you want to be as much of yourself as a parent as you want to be a professional, and we definitely understand that. The retention rate we have, our staff retention rate, I think the shortest amount of time we've had someone is 3 years, 4 years. That's
amazing.
The shortest.
Yeah, because there's quite a lot of churn in your industry, though, isn't there? Like in terms of people popping down the high street to a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of your competitors, like, do they do video? Are you super front running them on that? Have they Have you seen people made comments already on stuff you've already put out?
Yeah, the video content we put out, we do get a good response. You know, some of it's turned into direct lead gen, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's obviously that's the real ROI conversation
Isn't it?
for
Yeah.
people that are so focused on it, which we are to a degree, but we've already seen it. We've seen it come through leads. We've had in terms of lettings, appointments booked, and
Right.
instructions.
And we get asked this as a
It
provider.
happens. It happens.
Yeah, we get asked this a lot of a provider, maybe with someone we've never worked with before, but you know, what's the ROI going to be on this? And you're like, well, what metrics do you measure your ROI on? Because I could say, look, there'll be 4 of us come down. All your staff will be involved. I promise they'll have a laugh. It'll be a great day. Those that are nervous about being on camera, like we talked about before, won't be nervous by the time we get them on camera.
Which they weren't, by the way. People that found it hard at the start found it quite easy towards the end.
Yeah.
And you could see that in the way in which they engaged with it.
Yeah, and I think
They did a great job. The team did really well.
Well, it's something
just had
that
a
we
good day.
try. It's one of our. The misconception is like most cameramen are from ex-BBC or ex-ITV, and they turn up, they've got no personality, and they just go on then, what are you going to say? Whereas like we love going into a new business, and like obviously like before we actually meet the rest of the team, we've normally met like yourself or like a senior member and organise the day. But yeah, it's not just the content that you get out of it. We feel it's like it's the day
experience.
itself and the experience, and we've got the film crew coming today. We get that with a lot of businesses, and that's great because that breaks down that sort of that murky barrier of like, oh my god, am I going to be on the internet? Are people going to take the mickey out of me and like, you know, give me hate posts? It's like, no, probably not.
No.
Doesn't happen that often. Talk to us a little bit. You've got plans for like podcast and going out more into the community and like not just as a brand exposure exercise at all, but why are you doing that? And what response have you got from setting that up so far?
Yeah, so it is, you're right. It's very much letting people know what is so great about the area and why we've chosen to continue to operate in that area. Yeah, I've lived in the area for 13 years, I think. I've lived in Herne Hill on the and now at the moment Tulse Hill. But there are some amazing businesses there, like really impressive.
Like hidden gems or on the high street that have been there forever and a day. And
interestingly, a bit of both.
Right,
yeah, I won't go into who they are at the moment. I'm going to save that for the podcast.
Secret safe.
Yeah, secret safe, but it's going to be worth it. Don't worry about that. But yeah, they're really engaging brands. There's some that have been made out of times when they never thought they would do it.
Right,
They're really inspirational.
Because you were telling me about a lady during lockdown and stuff.
Oh, she's amazing. And I think she's going to be the first one on the series. She set a business up in maternity leave.
Oh, maternity, sorry,
And it's just grown really quickly. And Jazz has actually gone and done one of the things that she does. It's really impressive. And she's a very impressive lady and a lovely person. Yeah, there's all sorts of incredible businesses in the area, and that's what really makes certainly Herne Hill, but places like Dulwich, West Norwood, Brixton, Edgware. There's some really long-standing businesses that have got really good repeat business, but then there's also some that people will have heard of but aren't aware they're based in Herne Hill, for example.
Yeah,
it's just outside Brixton, just outside, you know, it's a 2 stops to Victoria.
Yeah.
So for me, my plan on that really has all been focused around making people understand the people behind the business, because there's some really inspirational people.
In terms of younger house buyers or younger renters, like how are you finding they're finding you? Is it crazy to say, oh, we've started using TikTok or Instagram do you find, I mean, is there a metrics or a process that you have where when someone rings in or pops into the shop, you go, oh, how did you find us? Like
much more on valuations we do. Yeah, absolutely. You do ask, why, what was made you call us in? And some people will say, oh, it's your Google searches and it's also then part of the marketing package later on where you then say, you know, what do you do differently? And actually for agents, it's quite hard to say what you do differently.
Yeah.
But actually, not
Everyone
for us.
says they are.
Yeah, but not for us, it isn't, because of the content that we've got. So we say, well, actually, we're quite active on social media. We're very handy with the video tours. We've got all the rest that we've got.
And all of a sudden they're like, okay.
And then from applicants' perspective, from a younger generation, you know, we have seen, as I said earlier, about the content that we had from yourselves before. We've had people, and a lot of those are renters.
Right.
So as a lot of the younger first-time renters first step on the property ladder that have engaged with the content.
Because you've done some like FAQ style videos, haven't you? Where like people don't know, some people like, or have never been part of a house buying process or even a rental process. Like, what is a mortgage in principle? Like, how do I apply to rent a flat? Like, if you're 17, 18, like, okay, the internet's there and there's probably someone waiting to tell you, but I'd say go on an estate agent's website.
But that's
or
what we
social
want to
media.
do. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So Wendy, my mum, who's one of the directors, yes, she is doing a video series of her own, which is very focused on being informative. We just did one with Nick Townsend of Devonshire Wealth Management about mortgages. And,
Perfect.
The whole point of the 2 video series we're doing is kind of clear the waters about where you should live and why you should live there, and what it takes to be in a position to be able to make decisions on things, but also all the different facts to make it so that it's as comfortable as an experience as it can be, and that we are agents that you can come to for advice, you know. And it goes back to the whole brand messaging about ethics
and trustworthiness.
Because, you know, everyone wants to make money, sure, but if you want to be in the business for a long time and you want to have the repeat business, all the points you talked about, the first level of all of that is being transparent and being honest, and that's absolutely the message that we're trying to do.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. It's been great.
Please come back again, because we need to talk about more social media stuff, mental health stuff. Like, we've probably got another episode in this, I think.
I would love to. It's been great.
Excellent. Right, brilliant. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much. See ya.